Hi friends, welcome for the second session of radiology, quality and patient safety in radiology. Hi friends, welcome to the second session of quality and patient safety in radiology. So we'll see today the next all the safeties staff trainings. Hi friends, welcome to the today's video on the quality and patient safety in radiology part 2. Last session I have already uploaded the part 1 where we have seen the radiology requirements, safety and the MRI safety, radiation safeties, training for the staffs and all. Today's video will start on patient preparation and the care. So, while taking the patient to the radiology investigation, patient should be prepared well for the investigation. What is the preparation? Like, if the patient needs the contrast to be given, patient should be in the NPO. Patient should not be taken any liquid or any solid food items. So, or any ultrasound if the patient needs to be done for specific ultrasounds where the patient should require the NPO. So patient should be taken the appointment for any investigation in the radiology department, so they will be counseled for the procedures, and wherever required the staffs will inform the patient they have to come the without food, and somewhere the patient required the bowel preparation for the specific studies. So the instruction needs to be given by the staff to the patient which and all preparation they have to do before coming for the procedures or the investigations. So proper positioning needs to be done for the patient while doing the investigation to prevent the injury. The patient should be spoken, patient should be counseled, patient should be communicated, educated for the fall prevention. So whenever the patients are taken for the CT, MRI and all, patients should be counseled for not to be panic. They will fall down, so they have to take care of the themselves. If patient is feeling giddiness, they have to inform the staff. If the patient is feeling like feeling weak, they have to inform to the staff. So if any patient is sedated, then the patient should be educated on that, the sedation given and patient is unable to walk now, or after sedation power will come the down, then the patient will feel little dizziness. So that and all education needs to be given to the patient before the procedure itself. So patient will prepare themselves and the patient attender will prepare themselves for to take care the patients, and the staff also have to be accommodate with the patient till the patient is in the hospital. Staff training needs to be done on the radiation protection, BLS, emergency response, and the standard operating procedures of the hospitals, radiology department, incident reporting. These are the topic where, and the infection control, biomedical waste management, these are the topic where the patient needs to staff needs to be trained properly. Whoever is working in the radiology department, they needs to be trained on the BLS, basic life support. Each and every staff should be get trained in the BLS and the emergency code. Every hospital is having the emergency code. What is emergency codes and all, and how many types and all, I'll do one more video on that. So till then, just I am telling you the emergency codes are there for every different requirement. Like if the patient is having cardiac arrest, the emergency code is different. If anywhere the fire has been cut, then the emergency code is different. So hospital is having lot of emergency codes. So the regular training needs to be done for the radiology staff on the emergency code, BLS, and the standard operating procedures, then the incident reportings. These are the things the staff should be get trained on this protocols, and how to counsel the patient, how to communicate with the patient, how to operate the X-ray machine, how to operate the CT, MRI machines, how to prevent the patient to fall, how to prepare the medicines, how to prepare the contrast, where the storage policy of the contrast should be marked as a high risk medicine. So all contrast will come under high risk medicine, and contrast should be marked as a high risk medicine, and it should be under lock and key. So these are the things training should be given to the staff. Documentation and communication, as I told you, they have to communicate with the patient properly, regarding their treatment, regarding the recovery, regarding the safety precautions, and the proper documentation needs to be done as in form of the consent, in form of the contrast they used. There should be written in the record. The radiation dose as patient received should be recorded. Adverse event, if anything has happened, that should be reported to the through incident reporting form, and all the data should kept confidential. It should not be disclosed to anyone. So all the document data's retention period should be maintained as written in the policy of the hospital. It differ from the hospital to hospital how many days they want to keep the incident reports, adverse event. Generally, incident reports, it is required by the NABH. One NABH cycle they have to keep all the quality documents. So all documentation relating to the related to the quality documents, it should be like for 4 years, but in terms of legal requirement, it depends upon again the law. Legal and ethical safety, as per the legal, informed consent, as I already told, the informed consent is the requirement where whenever you are taking any patient for any procedure, consent needs to be taken from the patient about the procedure, what procedure you are going to do, how you are going to do, what is the risk benefit alternative. Every informed consent should have the risk benefit alternative. The consent can be prepared fully, standardized consent form can be prepared, or the blank consent where the doctors will write the risk benefit alternative. Anything is fine, but risk benefit alternative complications needs to be the part of the informed consent. What is the fourth category I told? Risk components. Components are risk, benefit, complications, and alternative. This four is important in any consent. And any procedure you are doing for the patient, consent needs to be taken from the patient or attender. Patient privacy and confidentiality is the most important things. Patient's data not to be disclosed. Any of the patient outside patients, or any of the patient's relatives who is not the part of the legal member of their family. Whoever has registered in the hospital with their proper identification, to that person only the patient data will be disclosed with. So patient privacy and confidentiality is more important. With the compliance with the national radiation safety regulations, the all the legal things should be taken care. As per the requirement of ARB, all the consent needs to be taken. Patients should be explained about the procedures, and patient privacy is the requirement. And patients, wherever the requirement of the patient attender to be accompanied with the patient, where patient is minor, this have to be given the lead aprons for the avoid of the radiation dose. Patient rights and education. Patient is having the rights to know about their procedure. Patient is having the rights to know about the risk involved. Patient is about rights to have the privacy during the procedure. So each and every rights of the patients needs to be followed by the hospital and the staff. So patient rights and responsibility needs to be displayed in the radiology department, and the patient rights to be followed, patient rights to be measured through patient feed by taking the patient feedback, and the education. Patient should be educated on the risk involved, contrast risk and the radiation risk, and the procedure they are going to do. Standardized policy and SOPs. So standardized policy, documented SOPs should be there in the radiology department for all imaging procedures, all contrast administration, radiation safety, emergency management. Standard operating procedure. What is standard operating procedures? How to do, what to do, where to do, who will do. Okay, how, where, who, what. So these things should be described properly in the SOP, standard operating procedure. What and all the requirement, it should, and who will do it, what and all procedure needs to be followed. The standard operating procedure, it will be standardized across the organization, and it should be taken from the national or international standard. It should be followed wherever required. The ARB legal aspect needs to be followed, and it should be documented in form of SOP, and all SOPs are to be combined and made as a radiology manual, and it should keep in the radiology department for reference for the staff. All SOPs will be approved by the approved by the medical head and issued by the quality department, and it should be periodically reviewed. It should be periodically reviewed. By the department and get it approved. Then so turnaround time to be monitored for the all procedures, like if the patient is coming from the emergency department, then whatever the time taken for the patient arrival to the procedure done, and the patient is coming from IP or patient has come directly through OP, then the TAT time needs to be monitored. So patient waiting time and patient turnaround time should be monitored. So the patient arrival to the reception counter till the patient where test has been done, it will be one time. And after the patient test done to the report has been dispatched, thus it will be the one more, that is called turnaround time. So two TAT needs to be defined. One is the waiting time, one is the turnaround time for the report generation. So regular monitoring needs to be done for the delay of any reports. So if any delay of the reports is there, then it should be monitored by the staff and by the manager of the department, and the root cause analysis needs to be done on the correct on the delays of the reports, and corrective actions needs to be taken for the any breaches as found in the TAT. Reporting accuracy and timeliness. So standardizing reporting format needs to be used for to report all the reports. Any critical results is there, it should be communicated to the consultant immediately. The critical result always to be communicated to the consultant in for the OP patient and for the emergency patient. For the IP, it can be communicated to the residential doctor or ward doctor or ward staff for further informing to the consultant. So or else the radiologist can directly to talk to the consultant on the any critical result has been found out. So all the critical results to communications to be documented in a register, that is called critical result reporting register. where all critical results needs to be documented, and who has informed to whom at what time, and what is the action taken by the consultant, that needs to be documented in the critical result reporting register. So double reading should be done. Peer review is required in the reporting before dispatching the reports. That should be checked twice for the patient identification, correct reporting, patient UHID, like patient identification, like patient name, patient UHID number, and correct report wherever required. It should be matched with the requisition form for the procedure advised. And peer review, wherever applicable, peer review needs to be done. Documentation of the report corrections needs to be maintained in one register. If any reports has been dispatched to the patient and that report is wrongly reported, then that is calculated as a reporting error. So that reporting error needs to be taken, documented in one register, or in online form also, like in your computer also, but the somewhere it should be documented. So these are the things where the reporting accuracy and timeliness is required. Data management and confidentiality, secure storage of all the images and reports are required. PACS, nowadays every hospitals are having the PACS where they are storing the reports of the patients, images of the patients. So there should be a limited access. No, everyone should not have the access to the PACS. Only consultant should have the access to the PACS to read out the reports. Then the patient confidentiality should be maintained. Any disaster has happened or anything, there should be a backup plan. PAC is there, it's okay, but if any disaster is happening, be contingency plan for the backup of the data. So quality indicator and improvement. Okay, so what and all quality indicator is required in the radiology department. So radiology department needs to monitor the reporting errors, redos, equipment downtime, contrast reaction, contrast media extravasation, patient complaint, TAT, turnaround time, staff adherence to the safety precautions, reporting correlation with the clinical diagnosis. Let us see what is reporting error. Reporting error is nothing if any report has been wrongly reported to the patient and report has been already handed over to the patient. After that, when consultant see that this report is wrongly reported, like patient left hand has got fractured and it has been reported as a right hand, or left leg has got fractured, it is reported as a right leg, or somewhere the consultant has informed the radiologist has informed to the consultant that the patient is having the critical result, like patient is having a considered for the ultrasound. If the patient is having the cancerous things and it has found in the ultrasound, and radiologist has reported to consultant, but when the report has been released, it has not mentioned anything in the report, then it is a reporting error. The consultant has been communicated by the radiologist about the critical condition of the patient, but in the report there is nothing mentioned. That is also a reporting error. Okay, so wherever the reporting error has been found, that reporting error needs to be raised incident. It should be done the root cause analysis and corrective preventive action. All the quality indicators incident needs to be raised, because we can monitor, we can prevent the adverse events to happen further. Okay, so every quality indicator is required to be raised the incident. So reporting error, so this is the report. So any reporting error that should be reported to quality department, and it should be documented in the department with corrective and preventive action. Redos is the thing where again you are doing the test. It's maybe the because the patient is not supporting, it may be the staff mistake, or it may be the patient verification is not done properly. So redos are the many reasons are there to do redo the test, or or with the report consultant is not satisfied, consultant asking to repeat the test, that is also a redo. Okay, so this also to be reported. Equipment downtime. Equipment downtime is the time till that time the equipment has got breakdown till the time equipment has been repaired. That is the equipment downtime. That also needs to be reported as a quality indicator. Contrast reaction. Any contrast has got reacted to any patient, that to be monitored and that to be reported. Contrast media extravasation. This is a 6th edition NABH indicator, mandatory indicator in a clinical indicator. So, as a clinical indicator, contrast media extravasation for the radiology department, it is a mandatory indicator as per NABH 6th edition. So, any extravasation is happened while giving the contrast to the patient, that should be reported and the incident needs to be raised. Any patient complaints, that also have to be reported as a feedback of the patients. TAT, turnaround time. Turnaround time and the waiting time. Turnaround time for the reports, waiting time for the patient for diagnostic services. The both things should be monitored and should be reported. Staff adherence to safety precautions. What is staff adherence to safety precautions and how we will monitor? The staff adherence to safety precaution is the thing like we have the radiation safety uh, protocols. So radiation safety protocols and radiation safety equipment. So RSO, radiation safety officer, will do the audit for every radiation wherever the radiation equipments are being used. It may be ICU, it may be IP, inpatient ward site, it may be in operation theater, it may be in radiology department, it may be in the endoscopy, wherever we are using the C arms, wherever we are using. So there the RSO will do the regular visit and will see the while performing the procedure, staffs are wearing the TLD aprons or not, lead apron or not, and the TLD badges they are wearing or not. Okay, lead apron and TLD badges are the radiation safety equipments, and gonad shield, thyroid shield, wherever required, they should wear it. So this should be done the audit by the radiation safety officer, and they have to produce the report on this. The sample size to be calculated as per the NABS standard, and as per the sample size they have to produce the report to the quality department monthly basis. Then reporting correlation with the clinical diagnosis. Any reports if not correlated with the clinical diagnosis, then that needs to be calculated as a non-correlation of the report with the clinical diagnosis, and it should be reported as a quality indicator to the quality department monthly basis. Okay, then any incident reports needs to be done the root cause analysis and departmental quality assurance program. Quarterly once department should do the quality assurance program with one quality assurance checklist, where it will be mentioned like in the quality assurance checklist, it will be mentioned like also one quality assurance checklist. Just wait. So here are the parameters where the quality assurance program needs to be checked. I'll just do it little. So it's a radiation and optical field technical sections needs to be calibrated, done the assurance. Then alignment of central beam, it is compliance or non-compliance, needs to be done by the RSO. These are the parameters needs to be taken care. Then recommended ARB recommended staff is there or not, radiation safety officer availability, infrastructures, safety signages are there or not, radiation level monitorings are there or not, equipment safety needs to be done, calibration maintenance, calibrations of the then traceability certificate of the equipments needs to be there, preventive maintenance plan, surveillance programs. Then each and every risk assessment has been done or not, then radiation protocol has been adhered or not, So these are the things clinical radiological committee has been done or not. So one clinical radiological committee needs to be there in the hospital, where in that committee all clinical correlations reports will be discussed. Any non-clinical correlations report is there, then it should be discussed in the committee, and the corrective preventive actions needs to be taken as per that. So this is the, it's then radiology in charge to be signed, and it should be verified by the quality department. Okay, this is the quality assurance checklist of the uh, radiology. The quality assurance needs to be done for the radiology department, and quality improvement program also is equally important in the radiology department. So quality improvement program is what? Quality improvement program is that wherever they are having the lacuna, like the department tat time is more, ultrasound report tat time is more, then to reduce the tat, the department should do the quality improvement program. So they have to do the they have to find out the reason of the report delays. They have to monitor the data for 3 months. They have to implement the strategy. They have to plan a process how to reduce, then they will implement it, then they will try to reduce the time tat. If the tat has been reduced, then your quality improvement program is succeed. Then it will convert into your quality assurance that you have to achieve regularly. Okay, so what is quality improvement, what is quality assurance? We'll do one video on that. I'll do and I'll share later on. Okay, so these are all about the quality and patient safety requirement and the NABH requirement in the radiology department. If anything I have left out, just comment me, I'll share that. Thank you so much. If you like my videos, then please like and subscribe my channels. If you want more videos on healthcare, then please comment, then I'll do on that topic the videos. Thank you so much.